Hello friends, Bill McCabe here, and we're going to take another section of self-defense ideas and concepts and share with you some of the ways that we approach these ideas. And assisting it once again, as always, is Sensei Chris Santis. And the attack we're going to focus on today is a domination or intimidating grab. So this is pretty typical of what you might find, you know, at parties where somebody's trying to dog you or trying to drop some dominance on you. They'll do this, it'll be in your face kind of thing. And generally, when people are doing that to you, it's an adverse social relationship that may not go to true physical violence, though it is definitely threatening. And you are at risk because you can't predict what he is or isn't going to do, or what she is or isn't going to do. So you always have to be on guard against a strike or some other technique following in the aftermath or in quick sequence. But the position itself is this, and you have to understand that the dynamic of the position creates certain opportunities for you as a person defending themselves. So he grabs me, and the threat is now in place. First thing, whenever somebody's this close, their head's available to you, you have the head takedown. And we talked about this previously. This is reinforcing the concept. I turn about, watch my right leg, how I drop my right leg out of the way to augment the technique. And come on up and observe now, as you will. I take the head down and guide him down to the ground. For follow-up if I need to execute follow-up, okay? And the follow-up can be, you know, a deep penetration into the soft root, reverse penetration into the head, into the pressure points of the head, and then a quick evacuation through the rear before he can turn about and use his hands or legs against me. And all those techniques would be executed as I was bringing him down. If you choose to do this, let's do a turnabout here real quick. You can augment this technique with pressure points. For example, I go here and I rake across the nose. Okay, you can sort of see what I'm doing there. Same technique. Pressing down to the ground. Okay, now quick add on to what I said before as far as counters on the ground. As soon as he's down, you have the heel kick into the frontal pressure point here to the solar plexus, which would take out his wind. You can also do that in more critical areas, depending on the severity of his attack against you. You always need to gauge the degree of your response to the degree of the attack that's being manifest at the time. Same idea. If I need to augment this, pressure points. Okay, I'm using nerves alongside the jaw and gums to gain control and roll him back to the ground. Now, we're not going to take him down to the ground again. You got the idea as far as that goes. The deal is pressure points are always there for you, you know, and you can rake the nose, you got the eyes, all those points are there. He grabs me, you always have the strikes. So he strikes, bang, 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 bang. Now I'm outside him at this point. Strikes. They're always there for you. We've talked about those in other videos, so we're not going to keep hammering away at the strikes. Just the obvious ones: groin, throat, elbows, rakes, throat penetration. All those are available to you. The one that I want you to get today, though, is this. This is an overbalancing technique. I'm going to set it up backwards so you can see it. He steps. I check his balance from the rear. And I penetrate his supporting balance column, which is the invisible line that runs down the center of your body on which your entire anatomy hangs. And then as I'm in this position, checking his balance, he's not able to adjust backwards for when I apply the forward vector, which is right here with my left hand. He lifts, pulls me in, I'm on top of him, here, he down. I'll stay right there for a second, if you will. See, I've got his body opened up for the counters, and whatever I need to do in the aftermath. Again, the concept is one of overbalancing. He grabs, I penetrate in underneath his column and overbalance him here. I'm not going to take him down this time. You can see the overextension on his body. Notice how I still have my balance. I can drive him downward, augmenting the impact to the ground. And if you really execute this with high velocity, let me borrow Scott for a second, if you don't mind, Scott. And since the Chris, you step here, Scott grabs, he threats. Now I'm not going to drop Scott to the ground, but I just want you to see how you can overbalance somebody and pull your head to the ground first, so you're slamming his head into the ground. Okay? Thank you, Scott. So there's a wide degree of severity of execution that you can employ in using these as self-defense techniques. So Chris, if you will, he grabs. An interesting move and a nice move just to play with is the wraparound finger lock into the clothing. And we'll talk about this again in the future. Come on over here, sir, real close. On the other side of my body, if you will. And he's wrapping my clothing to control me. And what I do is he's so involved and so wrapped in my clothing that I augment it. And I roll his hand deeper into the clothing. Now go around to the other side. I want everyone to see how I trap it on the other side. I have got him locked in there, and then I pin it. Now he's stuck in my clothing. He's actually stuck in a wrist lock position here. So if he starts to throw a punch, so I've got pressure on his wrist, and I'm taking the power of the punch and guiding it that direction before he can hit me with it. Now, the deal with this is you drive the person to the ground using a wrist lock converted to a turnaround, rolling, reverse downward throw to the ground. So I'm going to do this slow to protect my partner as we do it. I turn about, step inside, and you can go down to where my right leg is at. And I take him down. Okay, and as he's down, I've got the open targets for the counters as I choose, okay? And there's always the chance to break the arm or roll him over. See it? These are pretty simple moves, but they're very interesting and very effective. No one move works all the time, as I'm sure you're well aware, or your teacher will tell you. What you have to do is explore all the ways that you can move so that you can move freely in a very complex environment and with confidence. Okay, so same thing, he grabs. You saw how I wrapped his hand before. What if I want to disengage his arm? I want him off of me, roll down on the thumb. Here, roll down. Here, roll down. Okay, when you roll down the thumb, the hand will release. And there's several ways you can do it. You can roll backwards, in on itself. You can use the hand to augment what's happening with the thumb. All those are applied pressure. He grabs, it's just that quick. You can just boom. Now the beauty here is I can take him down. Okay, I can also use a bent wrist arm lock to turn him about and throw him to the ground as I did a second ago. Let's go down with us. I take you down. And this time I roll you over and pin you on your stomach. Okay, as a variation to the previous technique. You can just look at this and figure it out, I'm sure. Thank you, sir. Same position. And then bring the camera to the other side, if you will, so we get a good view of this. So he grabs. I do the same release. This time I want further control of his arm. There you have it. See how quick that is? The beauty of this is I really control his balance. And I also control the direction that I move him. If I want him into that wall behind me, I just guide him into it. Being careful not to damage the wall, since it's not my wall, okay? But you get the idea as far as that goes. Final technique in this sequence that I want to share with you today is a very interesting throw, because I'll be the attacker this time. As I grab, all he has to do to get me on my toes is to trap my arm and activate the pressure point under my arm, driving my elbow to the ceiling, and I'm on top. And I'm high, and when he turns into me, he's ready to do a throw over the top. Okay, there you have it. But what I want you to see is this. As he's executing it, he's also doing a wrist break in the middle of that throw. Keep the camera where you're at. I grab. Okay, and then he positions, and watch how he rolls my wrist into his sternum. See it? He drops down low, over the top, and you see how the throw will snap my wrist because it cannot unflex in that position. So it's a very interesting throw, and it's a throw that you'd want to use if you were being seriously threatened with an attack. By way of summary, you've got 7, 8, or 9 techniques here that are slightly different than some of the other techniques I've shown you in previous videos. The stuff that I've shown you previously still works, and you can experiment on your own. My objective is to break new ground. You know, I don't want to keep showing the same thing over and over again all the time. I want to show you different ways of approaching solutions to problems as they arise. One last thing that just came to mind is he grabs, at any time you can roll him over like this. Okay, and if you choose to do that, you can snap the arm and the shoulder, you can guide him down to the ground, and drive him over just like that. It's that simple. Because the elbow is like something that's focusing on a piston. This would be the line, and you just roll it over that line. It's quite easily that simple. I can check his wrist and snap it right there. Okay? That's a very unusual technique that you won't see many people do. I can also do a release here, roll underneath, and come back on him. I don't particularly like that technique. I'm just showing it to you as an add-on here because you do expose your neck as you go into the person. You roll it underneath, and you have to be careful whenever you cross under a bridge like this because the bridge can drop down on you. So in here. If I extend it out, I can throw him and roll him. It goes down to the ground. And there it is. Yeah. And then finish him on the ground. I think there's enough there to have fun with as far as exploration of new ideas and concepts. Sense of Chris, if you'll join me. We're buddies. You can see we're friends. We don't usually hurt each other. And we hope you don't hurt each other, or anyone for that matter. You know, try always to show compassion as you go about your affairs. Thanks for visiting once again. Have a good day. Stay well.